to send this sign-in sheet around again, or does everybody have a
Thomas,
chance?
you get in there?
I got it.
Excellent.
Nasty.
Did you do
Okay.
a head count? I got it.
So, thank you everybody for coming tonight. This is the in-person Upper Lake Nice Local Area Plan Advisory Committee meeting, where public attendance, even if you're not a L.A.P.A.C member, is strongly encouraged. So thank you for this, for everybody showing up tonight. This is really good. We have 3 things to talk about this evening for the purpose of getting recommendations that will inform the update of the Upper Lake Nice area plan. Those 3 things are discussion about planning area boundaries, and the question before this team in particular is, should we take Lucerne out of shoreline and put it into Upper Lake Nice? We'll deal with that later. Second one is community growth boundaries, which is where we focus our commercial and medium to high density residential. Do those need to change within the next 20 years? And then do we need to expand it?
Okay.
And then the last one is land use designations. And you'll see those on your pages as like the ones with all the different colors on them. And that discussion is going to be, is there any portion of our planning area where we want to change land use designations? So that would mean like going from resort commercial to industrial, or commercial to residential, or residential to something else, or something like that. So those are the 3 things we're going to talk about today. Let's start with planning area boundaries. I'll get out the map. Here's the Upper Lake Nice map. And I think the only question for this planning area is if we're...
Let me hold it and you can hold it.
Oh, thanks. Is right down here, see, is if we want to move that line to include Lucerne. So let's talk about planning area
Lorraine,
boundaries.
What,
Yeah.
where is Lucerne at the moment? I mean,
Lucerne is currently, if you see this line, it goes right between Nice and Lucerne. And Lucerne is currently part of the Shoreline Communities Area Plan,
which is from there to like Glen Haven.
which is from here all the way down to parts of unincorporated Clear Lake, including the Gooseneck.
Oh,
So it has all of the ones that are on the shore along Highway 20, as well as Double Eagle, Spring Valley, that's good enough, thank you. Double Eagle, Spring Valley. Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, it's the biggest or the most extensive, go ahead and sit down. Most extensive planning area that we have. Yeah.
I missed that meeting that you had in person at the Board of Supervisors Chambers. What's going on with Blue Lakes?
Blue Lakes is within this one, Upper
Okay.
Lake and Nice.
There's no separation?
No, because they don't have, it would be to put them in Lakeport, which doesn't make any sense.
I get
So, yeah.
I think that's an important component. So we're Blue Lakes, Upper Lake, Nice.
Your Blue Lakes, Upper Lake, Nice, and Lake Pillsbury.
yes, for District 3.
Yeah.
Well, for this
Well, for
planning
this
area.
planning area. And so that's why these are kind of chunky, because I wanted to cover most of the areas, not just the towns of Upper Lake and Nice, but also if you had any thoughts about other areas, like the part that's in this planning area that's south of 29 and west of 20, all that ag land down there, that's in this area, as well as Lake Pillsbury. And I wanted to make sure I remembered the valleys, so like Clover Valley, that other valley, Bachelor Valley, yeah.
And all
That
the
other valley.
springs too,
That I didn't want to
right?
forget, Saratoga Springs.
Yeah, Whittier.
And I don't know that I did Witter Springs in there, so, but I looked around and just tried to make sure that we covered every sort of area that could be of interest.
Well, if we have Saratoga Springs, we should probably throw in Whittier because it's in between the two.
Right. Oh, yeah.
It's in there.
Oh, yeah, and it's in the pictures, I just didn't call it out on the title.
So what does it mean to be in a planning area?
Excellent question. So, it doesn't have any matter as far as resources or anything detrimental. It's all kind of like, where do we feel constitutes this planning area?
But do you want to have an area that's kind of, everybody in it is kind of the same thing.
Sort of related, but it doesn't have to be all that related. Like, we've got Blue Lakes in this area, and they're mostly fishing and residential and resort.
Tourists.
Yeah, tourism. So, whereas Upper Lake has a lot more areas in it. The Upper Lake Nice area has tourists, ag, local commercial, so like neighborhood limited commercial, as well as highway commercial along Highway 20. So it's very
I
diverse.
think what I'm trying to get at, is it more geographical than use type?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's just, it would be more like, are the land uses that we deal with in Upper Lake Nice planning area, are they consistent and similar to the things that Lucerne deals with?
Yes.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Where's your ag?
In Lucerne?
Yeah.
Well, Lucerne does go north too, so,
Yeah, I don't think Lucerne has
It
it. I don't
used to
think
have, it had.
Yeah.
Right.
But it does definitely have tourism and.
It's got nice trucks.
And do fishing,
Yeah.
an angler and all that.
So what you were just saying, you said that resources, so it's not like we have a finite amount of resources for this planning area, and if we add Lucerne, those resources get stretched to Lucerne?
not at all. No. It's only, it really only has to do with, we want to make sure we're capturing the interests, land use concerns, and priorities of the town of Lucerne with this planning area or with this planning area. It does nothing for resources. Like, you'll still, and it does nothing really for supervisorial district, which actually it's all the same one anyway. So you'll still have the same efforts on behalf, on the behalf of that planning area. It won't get spread out. It's actually just more, like does Lucerne feel like this area, or does Lucerne kind of feel like this area?
I would say Nice, Lucerne, and Upper Lake are like, I always call them sister cities. Like, I feel like I grew up in Nice, and I went to school with Lucerne and Upper Lake. Like, we're in the same school district, we're the same, like, we go to the same churches, you know? So I feel like that is, I feel like Lucerne is
closer to
definitely.
us than it's closer to
So
anywhere else.
culturally, you think it's.
Well, I also think like there's a split, right? So Lucerne, you drive through, you get through Glen Haven, and then there's that patch where you're like, it's not really anything. And then when I'm driving home, right, when I was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I drove home, once I got past and I saw Lucerne, I was like, I'm home.
Yeah. I don't feel that way at all.
I am going to the surf meeting, I think on December 9th, to get their input. No, you're not, you're speaking for whether or not you want them in there. Yeah,
Slowly.
thank you. Yeah, let's make sure that we can pick it up on the recording. Yeah.
Where is the current line with shoreline? I mean, is for example, is Fetzer-Ciago in Nice Upper Lake?
Yep.
Or is it Lucerne?
It's in Nice.
It's in Nice, okay.
So it's that
But
blank
it's kind
spot
of-
right
it's kind
afterwards.
of past
Yeah, see right here, this little doohickey, that's Ciago.
But that's.
Right there. And so right where you hit that kind of blank patch where there isn't a lot of stuff, that's the line right between.
And see, then there's a whole bunch of nothing, and then you get to Glen Haven.
Yeah.
Like, I think geographically it makes sense, culturally it makes sense.
Well, the other thing is that
Thank you.
Lucerne is also the two Lucerne Rivieras, which are further south. They are totally residential with a little lakefront recreation. There is no ag.
Right.
There is no ag. The last ag is Fetzer-Ciago.
Right.
Actually, Fetzer-Ciago is PDC, Plan Development Commercial, but general plan, what is it?
But it's.
But we're not
used as
just
ag.
we're not just grouping us because we're ag, because we also have other industries in
There-
Upper Lake and Nice.
There are also the hills, you know, Lucerne goes up sharply into the hills
Right.
that are similar, but a little different. This is rural lands, this color, you're gonna see steep slopes, possibly unstable soils. This is rural residential, it looks like. Yeah, rural residential, so you can still see your slopes, but your minimum parcel size is smaller. than what you're gonna see in Lucerne because of the topography in Lucerne. We want larger parcels in order to keep them developable and keep that really rural outskirts kind of feel. Yeah.
So where is that, I call it the crazy subdivision, it's up in the hills.
Paper subdivisions?
I don't know what to call it.
What, Mile Road?
No,
No.
You're talking about
Lucerne.
Lucerne, the paper lots?
Well, they're
Yeah, I think I'm talking about.
above Nice too.
Yeah, oh, no, I know.
Yeah,
He's talking
yeah.
about Lucerne.
So both Lucerne and Nice have paper subdivisions. Those are, for people who haven't talked about paper
The
subdivisions,
one that needs is like ancient,
they're
It's
both
been there
really old.
for the 30s or something.
Exactly, same time,
And
same time frame.
that was one of the things that Betsy was talking about. The senior center is a place where they have Meals on Wheels for people in Nice. I'm getting off the ag thing for a minute.
Mhm.
And then also, in the beginning, when this all began, from Upper Lake to Lucerne, it was Clear Lake Villas. It wasn't even Lucerne, it wasn't even Nice, it wasn't even Upper Lake, it was Clear Lake Villas.
Oh, but Upper Lake, when did Upper Lake, that was like in the 1850s.
56, but later on, it
But I mean,
became,
Upper Lake was a place.
yeah, right, it was a place, but I'm talking about the outskirts of Upper Lake, like where Century is, it's Rodman Slough, all of that area is called the Clear Lake Villas, and that's when it became, it started.
Well, I thought that's what was Nice.
Why is this even coming up to move them? I think that's an important.
Because in the first survey and then the second survey, there was some interest voiced by the public. So that then rose to like the category of, let's take this to the L.A.P.A.C and see what they want.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Where is the line being considered to cut off, or
would it be?
the boundary, where is it considered? It doesn't include all that green area too. Once
It would
it's
kind of
in that line.
scooch this way.
And
Not
where-
necessarily here, but I'm not sure, because here's Conote, or is that Paradise Cove? And here's Conote. I'm not sure where that discussion would end up.
Does
so.
that include all the green and blue and all that?
No, it would probably only be this line moving.
Okay.
Yeah, you wouldn't get all of the national forest appeal.
You said the surveys brought it up?
Yeah,
The surveys where?
sure. The first survey was widely distributed.
The community, it was a community survey?
It was community surveys, yeah.
And were they saying, was it like shoreline folks saying get Lucerne out of here, or was it?
That part I don't remember. That was a good question. Yeah,
At
yeah.
When we met at the courthouse, the shoreline people were saying, why is Lucerne with Clear Lake Park? That's, get that area that's
Mhm.
of,
Yeah, Shoreline has expressed interest to transfer it, just because they don't really think about it. They think more about Glen Haven,
So
Clear
far
Lake
away.
Oaks. Yeah, Double
What-
Eagle, Spring Valley.
Does your survey, is it by zip code? Do you ask?
We have
them?
reports. Yeah, I think so.
What do the folks from Lucerne say?
Don't know, I don't remember. But,
there weren't
but
any
yeah.
people from Lucerne.
At the in-person L.A.P.A.C meeting, I think this week, there wasn't anybody from Lucerne there. So I reached out to Austin, who's our L.A.P.A.C representative from Central Regional Town Hall. And that's when we started talking about actually taking it to that.
I have a comment again.
So I guess what I need, yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't raised and born here, but I lived here for the last 30 years. But whenever I came through this area, I was just coming through to go up north or something, and I never really stopped here. But I always look forward to seeing Lucerne and Nice.
Right.
Was that some kind of country thing going on?
And we have also you have the highway sign for
Together.
the Nice Lucerne cutoff too.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
throws them together already too.
So
I
I
got-
like the idea to be included.
I gotta say that Nice and Lucerne are two peas in a pod, and it comes to a lot of things. And one common, and I ride that corridor a lot on my bicycle, and it's just they're very similar in a lot of things, crime, abatement. And as you know, we're supposed to do the copter.
With the copter program, which
That's
is a
what we're
focus on.
focusing on that. We've
Yep.
got a lot to do in those two areas.
Yeah.
So I see them as very similar groups together. When I go to each one, you know, I feel like I'm in the same kind of
Yeah,
community.
yeah.
Very similar with the same issue.
I have trouble differentiating which one I'm in
The
until I
post
see the
office.
signs.
Well,
Yeah.
back in the seventies, it was quite obvious because Lucerne had all the, whatever they were, drug dealers with guns that would shoot at you if you drove your bike or your car up into the hills, where Nice didn't. And so for me, it's a.
When I was
definite-
growing up, Nice did.
Yeah,
I
so
thought Nice did too, though.
not in the seventies.
Like 50 more years ago? All right, so we're thinking about the next 20 years.
Marijuana grows, you know, there's legal and illegal.
Yeah,
Yes, and I can't stop people from shooting people depending on which
Well, I'm
planning
just
area
pointing
we're in.
out, from my perspective,
Yeah.
I have a different perspective, and that's why.
So I think then what would help me is, would the people here tonight be amenable, or would they see it as okay if the Lucerne group, when I finally talk to them, decides that they want to move in? Do we have any opposition
Do we
to
want
that?
to let them join our club?
Yes, exactly what I'm asking.
Well, what about the town halls? They have a separate town hall. Are we gonna start doing
Well, that's all
cross?
another-
Town
That's
halls
different.
don't
That's a
really,
different thing.
yeah.
That's a
Though,
different thing.
you know, the town halls is a good point because they do serve as an advisory board on land use issues. And so so we look for input from the municipal advisory council, so all the town halls, regarding their opinion on different projects. So we rely on that as well. But it just means that it would still be that same town hall for projects that are within the Lucerne area. So, but not necessarily projects within the Upper Lake Nice Lucerne
Because
area.
we've been to theirs, but they don't come to ours.
I've been there's a lot, and they don't ever come to ours. But I go to Clear Lake Oaks occasionally when I can, and they don't ever come to ours either.
Let's also consider that this is a long-term timeline, and that sort of thing fluctuates over
Yeah.
time. It kind of depends on who's on it or what you're talking about.
Yeah, I've been to all three on a regular basis lately, and I don't see anyone. In fact, the Lucerne one keeps canceling.
Yeah, it's hard. to-
Really?
Yeah.
The Oaks Council, theirs yesterday.
Yeah,
Working off topic, sorry.
Well, that's good, because I almost went
To me, I'll just say, to me, Lucerne and its Rivieras seems more shoreline.
I agree.
Right.
than-
They're North Shore.
I mean, we do definitely have some shoreline in Nice, but it's very, and it fades away as we get into the majority of the planning area.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess I think.
Northeastern
Lucerne
Shore.
and its Rivieras belong in the shoreline.
And I second that.
Are there any more
I don't
community meetings?
agree.
That's all right.
Like in
Yeah.
person ones?
Plenty kind of short, plenty, I ride it all the time.
I just
And
wonder,
it should be up to the
I just-
not the general public.
I just wonder what Lucerne residents think.
Couldn't tell you.
Because that
all
to-
I talked to was Austin, and I don't think he understood that, you know, that it doesn't really, it won't damage a community depending
So
on what planning
what would
area.
be the,
I'm a Lucerne.
the outtake if they
You are?
join us or stay where they are?
That's helpful.
So, okay, so if Lucerne joins, so it becomes Upper Lake Nice Lucerne Blue Lakes, then
Whittier Springs, Saratoga Springs.
on all those other things, yes. Then it just means that the priorities of Lucerne and the objectives and the implementation plans, like the working orders that the government gets for how to support this community, just get written up in this plan and not that plan.
Okay, a different report.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Well, maybe it'll give incentive for Lucerne to join in, and there's more people, and
Well, you know
We have
what?
a
One of the
Lucerne resident
things
right here.
I have heard is that shoreline people tend to be the Clear Lake Keys. And so when I tried to schedule an in-person L.A.P.A.C meeting in Lucerne for shoreline, they had a fit. So because they just don't normally drive all the way to Lucerne. So
Geographically and commerce-wise, they're completely separate.
yeah, they really are.
The issue with too is this whole North Shore area is very tribal. Not in the sense of native tribal, but tribal
Right.
in the sense of humanity.
Interesting. Oh, and I'm apologizing to any shoreline
That's
people
why
who
we
watch this
wanna let
video
it
later
out
about me
club.
saying it. That wasn't very
Did-
professional.
Did you mention that
Lake Pillsbury is in this plan?
Yeah.
It is.
That
Yeah.
also
It
sounds
should
crazy.
not. It should
I
be its
can't,
own
well, we
plan.
can't make another planning area, but hold on to that thought, because if you feel like it needs another planning area, then we'll list that as a priority to do within this, however many years, I don't know.
Because
We can
it's
list that too.
completely
Until
divorced
the whole
from
deal
everything
about the lake
else.
shakes out.
It's big.
It's dirt roads.
That's a good point. So maybe we can cite that, like as soon as the lake issue gets sorted out, then the we may start working, it would be Community Development Department start working with Lake Pillsbury regarding any specific, either a separate plan area or any specific policy changes that might need to be amended into that plan. Because I haven't seen anybody from Lake Pillsbury yet, but I don't.
We
blame
don't
them.
really actually know if there is anybody there.
There is.
There are.
They're having a community.
Because
Well, you
they
can't
call
prove it
the-
by me.
They call admin and talk about getting that road fixed regularly,
Yeah,
so,
I bet.
yeah, there are people there. Okay, so, what's the sense of the L.A.P.A.C? I see pluses and, for and against.
I'd like
for
to say
different
something
reasons.
real quick.
Please, go
Um,
ahead, Deb.
One of the things, you have to really look at the whole area. You can't, I could say bad things about other areas too.
Why?
I would never do that.
Never.
But what I'm thinking is that Lucerne, I go to Lucerne at least twice, 3 times a week for different things. And I feel like it's part of the community. I know this is a social thing, but Lucerne is part of Nice to me. As the North Shore Business Association president, Lucerne's huge. A lot of our
And we
members.
did,
are
we
there.
did actually have a Upper Lake business just move to Lucerne.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Right, we're
Not
working on that.
Fortunate for you guys, but unfortunate for us.
Well, anyway, I just, it's really easy to just spout out things about different areas. I actually have had some positive things here. I've lived here on and off for, I'm 67, so I've been here since I was 3 during the summers, and then I moved up here and went to high school during the 70s. I had my prom in Nice. We
Where
drove
in
through
Nice?
Lucerne.
Where in Nice was your prom?
At the World Mart.
Oh,
It was
good.
the Clear Lake Lodge,
Oh, it was a lot.
and it was beautiful. And it was on the shoreline. So, I actually disagree that Nice isn't a shoreline, because I walk it, and there's a big shoreline.
Swam
It's
in
just
sometimes.
off of the highway, but it is there. People don't own the whole thing. The houses are on the other side of it.
Should we jump east off and put it in the shoreline too?
That's
that's-
not coming before this body.
No, I don't think so, no, because Nice is part of the whole picture, but this is, for me, Lucerne, if you cut it off there, Lucerne is so geographically far from Clear Lake Oaks, like you mentioned, and Clear Lake Park. My sister lives in Clear Lake Park. I can't imagine that whole Lucerne being with Clear Lake Park. It just doesn't make sense to
But
me.
it's
I
kind of,
saw-
it's kind of isolated from here
It's
as well.
already isolated,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
I mean, so is Nice. Nice is isolated too,
Well-
if you want to talk about isolation.
Nice,
Um,
Century, Upper Lake.
Yeah, but the
Casino.
Vulcanese isn't Century. The Vulcanese is right next to Barnes Yard, which is where it
Yeah.
connects to Lucerne. So
Yeah,
it's,
right, it's all, it's not really that far away from Nice. It takes me 5 minutes to get there, and I'm not driving.
That's true.
It's more
Not-
like mine
it's
than
not
Nice.
far
I
away.
think it's
But
like-
you never,
like
when do you ever go to
communities,
Nice?
like
You never go
needs,
to
like
Lucerne,
desires,
never go to
and
Lucerne.
resources are, to me,
Because most of the
more
commerce
pulled
is
in with what the
north
Upper
and
Lake
west,
needs are.
so you
That's all you're
provide
trying to
same
do, is design
Lucerne
where they
residents
get
going
rolled in with
west
the
for
plan.
commerce.
Yeah,
It's,
they don't
their
go there.
situation is more like Nice and Upper Lake than it is anybody else, just proximity,
Yeah.
approximately. But yeah,
You should,
And now
you
that,
should mention
we
that.
lost our marina,
You should mention
so,
it,
people are not, putting their, some people with nice bass boats can put theirs in at the Healing Park. But most people take their boat to Lucerne if they can get it in there, or Lakeport. But the thing is that Lucerne is really important to Nice with the plan. because if we're not getting the harbor back, somebody else bought it, so we're not getting that back. It's a huge, it's just, to me, it's hooked to Nice, I don't know, I just.
Is there any strong opposition should the Lucerne folks want to join this planning area?
Not to me, no.
Why? No reason.
Because they feel that they identify more with Nice than they do with the communities in the shoreline.
And that should be the deciding factor, really, what they would focus on.
Right. I just don't want to hear, yes, we totally want to do it, and then have to come back to an Upper Lake Nice meeting.
I'm amenable to it, and I'm more favorable to the idea than not.
Thank you, that's helpful.
I am on that.
Great way of saying it.
Yeah, that's great.
Amenable, leaning towards favorable.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's a good body word.
Yeah, that's a safe
Yes, it is.
position.
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. Set that one aside. Now we'll start talking about community growth boundaries. You'll see that you've got on your first page an aerial of Blue Lakes. I did that so that we could kind of have a more clear road markers. And then the second page is any community growth boundaries, which we don't have in Blue Lakes. So the second page in this case is LUD, land use designations.
It's the back of this one, back of the first page.
Yes, I have them on both sides. Thank you. Took a couple tries.
Oh, I like that. I want to frame it on my wall.
You are welcome to frame it.
Where's that?
Okay, so if you take a look at Blue Lakes, I don't
Where's
have
the new development?
a legend
Not
on
on
that
there?
one like I did on a number of
I
other
don't think
land
it's
use
a development.
designations.
I think it's just a change of designation.
Usage.
I was down there.
But, let's see, where's the first table? Diane, can you keep flipping?
It's on this
That's
page.
Ariel.
Oh, no,
It'll be
that's
an
different.
LUD
That's what I'm
page.
thinking, is that
That's
You'll
the
see
back of the
titles
first
on the
page.
bottom.
Back of the
Yeah, there
first
you go.
page.
next page over?
There you go, good. So that shows you the different general plan land use designations that we have. For Blue Lakes, you'll see high-density residential, that's that orange square. And then the yellow is your single-family residential, so that's like one primary
So
residence
high
per.
density residential.
But where is that party place trying to go in and get permits for?
Well, that's.
They're up on the northwest part where the resource conservation, or no, sorry, resort, commercial is.
The RC in the very,
Yep,
that very.
yeah,
low
that
corner.
RC holds Trianon and possibly Novoa and Narrows.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
high
No, it
den-
doesn't.
High density.
Narrows is over here. Narrows is right in the Narrows. What am I thinking? Yeah.
That's the
So,
Narrows.
yeah, so I'm wrong.
So it's right in
Yeah,
here.
so that little lumpy thing right in the middle,
Yeah.
where the Narrows
Out there,
are,
that's
that's the Narrows Resort.
Yeah, it
and
makes sense, that's where it's
Novoa.
narrow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I would, yeah.
So
all the way-
high density residential, what does that mean?
That is where you can
Like
get
a
your
apartment building
mobile
or
home
something?
parks,
Oh.
your apartment buildings, yeah. That is for,
And what is the designation of this right now?
it's high density residential.
Oh,
This
oh,
is your
okay.
current existing
Oh, okay. all
land
right.
use
So this is like what
designation.
trailer parks?
And what's
Now,
our,
some of our LAPACs have had property owner requests for land use designation amendments. Upper Lake does not have any. So any ideas would be coming from this group for things that they might want to see in the future to be changed in the next 20 years.
Okay, I have a question then about that, because, and I talked to you about that before, the tribal housing project against the levee over there, the old Sealy property. I got an email yesterday from someone saying they heard that they had put in an application for high-density residential use there. And I'm like, I don't know. Have they?
I haven't seen it. But,
was this,
yeah, I haven't seen
Julia,
it.
was this the,
Where the
Where they-
farm stand used to be?
Where they pulled out all the pears.
well, somebody was saying that they were putting in leash lines or something like that, is that the one you're talking about?
So I have not seen an application come through for that yet. And I regularly check Michelle's
Okay.
inbox just because I'm curious.
You'll have to go through the county process because that is not a trust.
Yeah, yeah, I
Well,
haven't
what
heard
my
about them
response
taking it.
was, my response was that. I don't think they've finished the trust process yet.
Right. Yeah, like Middletown, they just completed moving a lot of land into trust that they do plan on developing housing down there. And so when they do, it's, county has nothing to say about it. You know, that's sovereign land, so it's like they just turned it into France, you know?
Yeah, we're
So-
going land actually was zoned and took high
We just,
Can we be
got
snotty?
100, close to 1,000 acres of land trust for Robinson
Wonderful.
last year,
That's great.
or this year.
Yeah. We
I thought Nice was
usually,
France. Concern was Switzerland.
well, no, I just mean in that it's a sovereign nation, you know? It's totally out of my jurisdiction, so I'm just like, yeah,
We
go
just have
for
to
it.
follow
I'm
federal
gonna
law.
live there.
But that land, because the former Sealy Orchard is still county and hasn't been moved into trust, then the development would come through county. So, but I haven't seen it. They may be working on it, because as ag land, it would need a general plan land use designation amendment as well as a rezone.
This is the, I don't want to get into this now because you're going to come to our meeting in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, what are we talking about? Oh yeah, Scotts Valley project.
But,
Yeah.
but just kind of the whole community development process
Mhm.
of how, it's like, if something might be going on and you're not even aware of it yet. And so we want to get in before you get aware of it, if you will.
Well, you'll have to talk to somebody else.
Yeah.
Me, not typically
real,
wearing my
it's
second
the county.
beanie, I can't help you.
Yeah, I understand. But that's what we
Yeah, I
want to
hear
know
you. Yeah.
where we are. So.
Yeah.
The process by which the federal government recognizes land, allows land to become trust land, is supposed to include consultation with local government.
It does.
So,
They send us a notice to multiple departments to see if it has any concern, so.
yeah, well, I think there's a concern. And the concern is that if this is high density, it's all gonna have sewer or septics.
And water.
The town well is right there.
High-density residential is
Sealy,
typically within
Sealy.
community growth boundaries and requires municipal sewer and water. So, but that's only if it's a county requirement.
And they do have those ag wells over
Okay,
there.
but we do not have, I don't think we have any municipal sewer in Upper Lake.
Right.
We only have water,
We have sewer.
and everybody else is on septics.
Okay.
No, we have sewer.
I can understand,
I'm on
yeah.
sewer, all Main Street is on sewer.
Oh, Main Street.
I can
Where
understand
is
the concern for
treatment
water.
plant for that sewer?
I'll tell you where it is. This is an extraordinary, in my opinion, travel of sewer. It goes from here over to the trailer park where there's a pump station.
Yeah,
They pump it under Rodman Slough, which in my opinion is part of the reason why we have algae problems, up into another pump station, and then they pump it over to Clear Lake, and then Clear Lake pumps it over to the geysers.
yeah, okay.
You're part of that whole
It's
project.
kind
Oh my
of-
God, it's all I have to say.
That's kind of amazing.
Yes,
But there's,
What could possibly go wrong?
I mean, it's
It's too big to try to
sewage out.
And then 7,000 feet down.
And then they make like.
What is that station down by Century, down by the lake?
A communal leach
The water
field
treatment.
somewhere.
That's not,
Remember that place?
not the water
Up
plant,
in
but the
the
sewer pumping station. Isn't there one in East too?
It's,
Yeah,
um,
there's,
Well,
I
in
know
that
about that
case,
one.
next
I
to
don't know
Benton
about the
Hall,
names.
that is not trust land, that is county land. So it will be.
right now.
Yeah. So when the development project comes in, then that's something that we're gonna send to the appropriate municipal advisory council. And that's where you'll get your first notification.
well, I don't mean that the town well is on county right of way, I mean,
No, but if it's in that area,
It's next door to me.
any non-trust land would go through county development processes.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was thinking another concern about the,
Oh,
Get
hold on.
at the point.
Oh, so you're talking about just moving land into trust?
No,
Infrastructure?
it doesn't,
Yes.
it wouldn't matter whether it goes into trust and becomes high density, or whether the county just rezoned rezoned it for high density. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
The fact of the matter is, you can have a whole bunch of sewage there, and the town well is right next to it.
Which would go under consideration if they applied for development during county jurisdiction.
You know?
I did not.
There's something, and.
At which point I would totally expect you to show up and send in your written comments too, because that's the whole point of county processing.
When we had a speaker, I can't remember her name, I'm sorry, Sorelli, I think, from the tribe, she said that they were putting in a daycare center and.
That's in, right here.
No, and on that property over there.
Oh.
She talked about that property, community center. The daycare center's too small, they were gonna move it over there. But I never heard anything about residential. I did not hear anything about residential. It was just putting us, like some kind of a community center, town meetings, bigger meetings.
I heard the same thing about a year ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. But I
Well,
never heard.
I was told that when I went to the council and presented about the levy situation.
Did
They
it
said
pick
that
that up?
it's gonna be all residential over there. They might be incorporating daycare and a community center, but it's gonna be high
She never
density
said anything
residential.
Okay, so I've given you a number of areas, just a moment. Given you a number of areas to take a look at to see if anything jumps out at you regarding amendments to the community growth boundary, where you'll see municipal infrastructure like water and sewer, as well as commercial and medium to high density residential. So if you see anything that in that community growth boundary that you think should be amended to sort of, what's the word, expand, or in the land use designations, if you see anything that you think needs to be changed for use for the next 20 years. And on the last page, it's a picture of some of the public and private water systems too, just for your own information. But I just don't want, I've only got you for like another 45 minutes, so I don't want to get too bird walking.
I don't know what bird walking means.
It means like talking about too many tangential
Got it. Okay.
subjects. I want to make sure that I get what I need from you guys before I leave.
That makes sense.
There, it's all about me. I want what I want. Awesome. Yeah.
Just one thing I thought about incorporating was the grants that we proposed for getting Lucerne. Are the grants for the whole North Shore, or are they specific for specific areas?
Good question. So, setting aside the word incorporation, because that's a whole different ballgame, that makes you an actual city, like Clear Lake and Lakeport. But it kind of depends on the grant. But one of the things that we use these general plan and local area plans for is because it's the voice of the community regarding priorities. When we go for different grants, we're able to show this is the community vision. Because the people, the grant funders, they don't like to see government just going off on its own. They want to see it backed up by community vision. And so it kind of depends on what the grant is.
Yeah, I was just wondering about any conflicts. That's the only thing I wouldn't know about.
We never do grants by planning areas.
Okay.
That never comes up.
All right.
It's more like highway grants or safe routes to school grants. Which
Right,
are very
I was just
localized.
wondering, because it's just something I just didn't know if it.
No, yeah, I want to make sure it's not a detriment.
Right,
You know,
that's
yeah,
what
totally.
that would be my.
Can you show us where there are any proposed changes?
We don't have any proposed changes. Yeah.
So to get you some information that you're looking for, from my perspective as a Wellington planner, I always see planning, zoning being, core and then, whatever, 1 acre, 5 acre, 15 or 20 acre. Here at this end where I'm at in Upper Lake, it's not like that. It goes from rural residential to ag, 20s, and there's no buffer zone.
That's what you're saying right here. So now you may find that what Julie is talking about, because if you take a look at the land use designation, that deep green, not the khaki green, but the deep real green, forest green almost, that's ag. And in order to qualify for ag, you have to have class 1 through 4 soils, what we call prime ag soils.
Huh.
And so we'll save those, we'll zone them ag where we can find them. And you got a 40-acre minimum on ag, because to go any lower sort of starts to transition it from prime agricultural use to prime residential use.
Exactly.
And so we're very protective of our prime ag soils. Then in rural lands, you'll see, and rural residential,
You are going to that.
I'm sorry, and we're very protective of our best agricultural soils, so
Why
what the hell
does this
happened to
sound
Seattle?
Ciego,
Yeah, it's planned unit development or something.
that's planned development commercial, and I'll tell you why. Because planned development commercial allows for more creative overall plans than one would normally see. And so Ciego, and I wasn't with the county government then, but Ciego came in with an overall development plan that included vineyards, lavender, you know, all the stuff that they have, all these things, with some casitas, which were resort commercial supportive, and the winery, which was resort commercial supportive, but also ag. And then their hillsides, vineyards, and so it followed, it has that weird bell thingy because that's the way the parcel was created.
Yes.
And then it butts up right against SOS, substandard older subdivisions, because the hillside is like right there. So that's why it's planned development commercial, which is a zoning designation, not a general plan land use designation.
What is the land, the general plan?
Let's take a look, because I don't remember it all.
I remember getting a tour of Seattle before they
Let's get
closed.
to Nice.
I mean, it is what it is, but
Yeah.
Nice place.
Because somebody came in and said, I really want to do this big plan. And it's more than, well, it's expensive to rezone to PDC, that is true. But it just allows for kind of a coordinated grand plan, and then everything you do inside there, every step of that grand plan is a major use permit, or called a specific plan of development.
I remember when it sold, I made a drink for the guy at Sons of Italy that sold it. It was a walnut orchard. And he was so happy, and he died like 2 weeks later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, most of Ciego on the shore side is resort commercial, general plan. And then over here is suburban reserve, so that's not even preserved for ag.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, but I don't know that it went, I actually don't know. I don't remember if it went through a general plan land use designation amendment. But I don't know why it would go to suburban reserve if it was gonna be vineyards. That doesn't make sense to me. I would have, if it were me, I would have gone to something else. So, anyway,
So back
Good.
back to
Somebody wanted it.
Exactly,
well, because somebody proposed it and the planning commission and the board approved it.
right.
And his name was Fetzer.
Yes, the Fetzer
I think
kids.
it was.
Fetzer's kids, yeah.
Jim Spencer, to be exact.
Well, we do have lots of other areas of planned development commercial, because that helps, that is what you want to do when you have like Crystal Lago. Remember that one? That was
Yes.
resort commercial and resort, planned development commercial and planned development residential, all over the place. Because they came in with this large golf course related development idea that had housing in it and stuff. And that was the way you can do things like that, rather than our normal neighborhoods, which are R1, which are limiting that sort of thing. So if you want to customize a larger plan, that's where you want to go, is planned development commercial or planned development residential, which is also what Maha is doing too. Except they're doing a little more. They're actually creating their own land use designation. It's going to be new. It's just the Maha Winnock Valley District. So, yeah.
At the time that he bought, I know Jim Fetzer, at the time that he bought it, it was gonna be agriculture. Agricultural, he had almonds, olives.
Still
he
has
brought-
olives.
He brought in these huge olive trees,
They're gorgeous.
and
Gosh,
then
yeah.
2008 happened.
Yep.
So I mean. Newspaper lots.
Yes.
Yeah.
All those lots with nothing in them. Yeah.
So back to the Upper Lake area that I was speaking of. What, because I don't know any other area that's like that, and maybe there is, and I just don't know that. And
Can Can you repeat what the first part of that was, because I don't remember now. I got distracted.
Upper Lake.
Oh, where it just hits ag?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, from rural residential, less than 1 acre lots
Mhm.
to ag.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You get lost.
We're not always, yeah, ag is more likely to
Well,
be
it
seen
could be
next
ag.
to rural residential or suburban
That's probably-
reserve.
Okay, so I think what's happening here though is that here's where we're seeing more of the larger residential lots that are here.
Okay, she's pointing to the upper part, the northern part of the community growth boundary
Middle
page.
Creek Road area, Clover.
Right here.
But that's, but you're talking about land use designation, you want this map, or is there another map for land use designation?
Wait,
Yeah,
yeah,
the
I
one
thought this
next
one
page.
was
Boundaries, you want this
We're
one?
talking
Yeah.
about community boundaries.
Oh, community boundaries, back to this one, okay.
Yeah, so I'm just
Okay.
trying to say, do we need to alter this in any way? I don't know that we do, but we've got development going in here. A house one, this is all, but ag can have a house on, one house on it, so that's not,
That's fine.
yeah, this is what I'm most concerned about.
What's the development going on there?
That's
The tribe.
That's what
the
you're asking.
tribal development with the.
Oh, that's the one I was just talking about. Okay,
so you
yeah.
haven't seen anything yet.
I haven't seen anything come in yet.
I think the challenge is too, if the tribe puts it into trust, they're well within their rights.
Yeah,
and
they
Yeah,
are.
totally.
The county has no jurisdiction over that.
Right,
And that's
but for
what-
now, it's ag, so it would require, so long as it's not trust land, it would require a general plan land use designation amendment.
I guess
and a
my question
rezone.
is, if, not if, when this goes into tribal trust, what does that do to the land use? If we're looking for the future at how this is happening,
Mhm.
how is that gonna affect all of this? I know you have no jurisdiction over it.
Okay, so let's say, well, regardless of either way, let's say it went into medium to high density residential,
Okay.
then that would, what I'm guessing, is it would require an annexation for any municipal services, water and sewer. Because it makes more sense to just connect and do an extension than to build your entire own water system or
Right.
sewer system. It's just not very efficient,
But
and
they
the
do
state
have a
doesn't like
couple
to see
wells
it.
on there already, so they might be able to source some of the water.
Sure,
Okay.
yeah.
But for
I-
growth boundary purposes,
Mhm.
this is, which is what.
So for community growth boundary purposes, it's ideal that this is located next to a community growth because it's near the neighborhood, it's near the
Okay, got it.
commercial zone, so it actually supports the commercial
Versus coming out
activity.
here.
Where
Yeah,
they
yeah,
have no
yeah.
structure to build.
Yeah, and it's hemmed in by ag, so it's not like you're gonna have other businesses now wanting to branch out.
Great, okay.
Yeah, no, that's a good spot.
And I think, Julia, if I understand one of your other questions, when we were talking about rural residential leading to ag, if I heard you correctly, if that becomes medium, there's another area here that's medium,
Yeah,
that goes into ag.
Right.
I was gonna mention also that when if you're offering, it's an opportunity for anybody who wants to do tribal consultation or make their comments. It's an opportunity to make sure you include what you want from the community in their planning process. So it's part of, helping each other basically.
Right.
Promoting and updating equipment or whatever,
The problem, the challenge is that if anybody wanted to put housing here, is that it's a loss of ag lands.
Right.
And that is taken very seriously by the Board of Supervisors.
Which
So that will be something that they'll have to show
But
that the common good, or the benefit to the community outweighs the loss of.
If they go to their county.
Right.
If it doesn't-
And we'll have to make sure that the infrastructure is compatible with the proximity of other water systems. So that would
And
be
they do
part of
have a
that.
case because they need
Housing.
housing.
It's-
Right, I was gonna say, it's like a double-edged thing, is because the entire community needs housing, so we have.
So,
But
yeah.
the only trouble with that is that the pressure to build is not necessarily coming just from Lake County. People want to move here because it's less expensive to build.
We're really not getting that much pressure to build from outside the county right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
And they're
I think
buying
pressure
things.
I see is everyone living in
Yeah.
Lake
Work
County,
from
they
like
can't
the
find
Bay
nowhere to
Area.
live.
I wouldn't mind seeing more building permits for homes, but I'm just not seeing it. And
It
I
took
get
me
monthly
6 months to
reports on
find a
that.
place. And that was only because I knew
understand
Stillman's.
that the Sealy, the Suhan property,
Oh, Pitney, right?
That's right.
No,
Oh,
here's all of
okay.
the sale.
Wait, where is it on this one?
Okay, so,
It
sorry.
immediately adjoins the Seeley property,
Right.
which sold,
Mm.
okay? And except that the Suhan property is producing walnut orchard.
Yeah.
But they're in financial trouble, so they sold it. And we don't know who bought it. You know, but, it's right next, it's right.
It's up here.
Suhan's up here.
It's up here.
And that- yeah, that corner.
Yeah.
And Suwan is already, has a general plan designation of rural residential, not ag.
Can we take these with us?
Absolutely.
Even though that's where the.
You need to
orchards
fall
are.
asleep at night, it's really good.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the things that happens, when you do have something like a residential, development come in, I remember when Robinson put in the houses, and I was on the, I think Amanda was with me, on the board, on the water board in Nice, and they put in a giant water tower for us. It was beautiful, remember that? And it was beautiful. We needed it, because we couldn't, where else we had to get water infrastructure to, so that's something that could happen, you know. Well, maybe that'll happen too.
All right, so, time check, got you for 30 more minutes.
How much more
Well, you
information?
only got me for one, because I gotta go.
Okay, what I wanted to know is if there are any areas that you see are shining out as what we want to recommend for amendments. I'm not getting any sense, and it doesn't surprise me because I didn't have any either. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but right now what I'm hearing is we don't really anticipate 20 years needing any expansion in any particular area of our planning area.
Well, here's a question that I
Yeah.
have, and I am so not a planner, so I'm not gonna have any
I'm a
suggestions at the
planner
end
and
of
that's
this
for a lot
either.
of people.
But, so we just brought up the housing issue, right? And I think that is an issue that our county's gonna have to address well within 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
So if we don't make any suggestions on zoning changes, does that prohibit us from,
That's a really good question.
Can we handle what
Like,
needs? I mean,
right?
yeah.
Are we, like, if this is
Yeah.
a 20-year plan, are we gonna be able to address the housing crisis if we don't
Say
So
anything
change
back.
it?
So let me tell you a little bit about housing. We have a housing element, which is a chapter in our general plan that covers housing. And it has a 6-year cycle. So every 6 years at the beginning, or a little before that, the state sends out what's called RHNA numbers, or Regional Housing Needs Assessment. And it decides how many units of housing we have to be able to accommodate with our current zoning. And it changes every 6 years. And it includes not just where we see in the future to address the housing crisis, but it also includes all the housing stock we've lost over the fires. So we're gonna have a pretty robust number.
When is that next 6 years?
We're coming, well, the next cycle is due 2026, I think.
So like a
So
year.
we're anticipating getting our RHNA numbers next year.
Okay.
And so it's at that point that I'll know the exact number, but for right now, I'm anticipating it's going to be robust. And that's one of the reasons why in that second community survey that we just finished, I had a question put in there about how the community feels about mixed use, which is pairing residential with commercial.
100,000.
Not like you see in the Bay Area where they've got 100 homes over, some retail on the bottom, but more like an apartment or two next to a restaurant or above a pizza place or, someplace so that it's co-located in our commercial zones. Because since there's been strong support in all the surveys, that's really helpful because that in itself will boost our ability to meet those needs. And so,
People like the mixed use.
people love mixed use. I would love to live over a pizza place.
Personal service lived in was from above the Marina
Pub.
Drive.
Exactly. It reduces sprawl and it focuses on infill. It puts people in a walkable neighborhood.
And
Yeah,
for
it's a
emergency
win-win.
services, it keeps it, yeah.
It's already where we have municipal water and sewer, so it's able to accommodate growth, hopefully. And so that's what we're looking at as one of the ways, but we may have to come back once we get those RENA numbers, and look at places we can add medium or high-density residential. Cobb's probably not gonna be able to host it, because they're in the middle of the forest, and we really don't wanna stick big old subdivisions in a high fire severity zone. So we are looking towards where community growth boundaries exist currently.
So question, where in our current L.A.P.A.C area, which does not include Lucerne, but I'd be curious to know in Lucerne also, are the mixed use zoning parcels or areas?
We don't have them yet. It doesn't exist, and that's why I put it in that survey. It historically, with all of our documents and our zoning ordinance and general plan, it doesn't even talk about it much, except for teeny, tiny little bit, like you can have 1,000 square feet if you have some odd square foot of retail or something like that.
I really strongly believe that all of Highway 20 should be mixed use. I think all
Well,
of
it
it.
would be all commercial zones would be changed to accommodate some level of housing.
So then does that mean the question Julia just asked, we would be looking where commercial zones, that would be where?
Yep, so if you're taking a look, ignore the yellow, that's residential, you'd be looking at the reds.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
and,
this is nice, so,
yeah, both red. No, wait, not the deep, not the, like, the Cabernet color. That's
the
service
fire engine
commercial.
red.
That's leaning more towards higher impact businesses for smells and odors and sounds. We avoid housing in those type of areas. Because typically it ends up being a lot of low-income housing, which isn't really nice to put them in stinky, loud, disturbing areas.
so upper like, it would be all like this,
So right now, the red
Mhm.
is here in the Upper Lake area.
Main Street.
But that red is the community commercial, not the,
Yeah.
we want service commercial, right?
No, we avoid service commercial.
Okay, and we don't want community
We like
commercial.
just the true red.
Oh, did you community commercial?
Yeah.
Here, sorry.
That's okay.
Why am I failing to understand? Oh, this is like Woody's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what about Nice and,
Not a whole lot of it means.
Yeah, there's Nice, it looks like right where the grill.
Yeah, because Nice, you start getting more right along the highway kind of development.
and here,
Is this like Century, right here?
yeah.
We're on about,
Yeah.
This is
Oh.
the feather bed right here, right here.
No, wait, that's the intersection of 29 and 20. That's two brothers or three brothers.
It's this right here, in these, and
Yeah.
Deb, I would wonder what your input is on that. Do you think there needs to be another commercial area in there, thinking down the road?
Thank you for coming, John.
Yeah,
Thank
Thank you, John.
I need to go, I have a lot of thoughts about A, but,
You can send me your written comments too.
And there's the ag, there's a general plan ag meeting, you should go to that.
On the 14th, right?
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, it's an agricultural, 21st,
21st.
agricultural stakeholders meeting.
it's hard to know without looking at the parcel specific
What,
That's the,
designations and stuff,
Mhm.
where the actual protected buffer of the
where
ag.
are you? What is the spot?
I mean, I was shocked. when you just told me.
2029, yeah, that's the wrecking yard, and then that's the Three Brothers.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened,
Yeah,
but I'd be happy to have that conversation with you. When
you gonna
it's
take a
convenient
copy
for
of
you.
this stuff?
pardon me?
Take a copy
Take
with
that
you?
stuff with you.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, so this is like the hog pen and stuff right here. And like Dollar General and everything. so-
Crosses on it. Just kidding. Make sure you go to that meeting though.
It is interesting, because I don't know where you would put it.
In these.
Because you'd have to get rid of residential, that's already.
Wait, put what?
Or you wouldn't have to get rid of, well, you change the residential zoning to commercial, but you wouldn't get rid of the residential.
There's been, there was a bakery, let's get into it.
Where was that?
I wish it was still there.
Norman's.
Norman's Bakery and Soup Kitchen.
That was in Nice?
Yeah,
Yes,
across the
absolutely.
street from Marina Grill, where the bus is now.
Oh,
That was a bakery and also a soup
Huh.
kit. She had made homemade soups and bread.
we had the bloody
Anyway, that was, and
hamburger
there was a
place
thrift
as
shop
well
there,
before they
but
put in the Dollar
By
General.
Hopkin?
Well, they
no,
were,
that's further down.
So
I'm talking about right across from Marina.
so then how are we gonna introduce, I know we're gonna do it through a commercial area, but how are we gonna expand our commercial area? Or what are we gonna do there? I mean, if the state comes in and says, you need enormous amounts of housing, because most of our housing, or a lot of our housing is burned down.
Well, a lot of our housing is burned down, but it's zoned for residential, so we're good there.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
it's just gonna look like a really scary
Right, but
number.
you,
What is
Yeah.
Mercy?
we all kind
Resource
of, we all seem
conservation,
to like the
that's
idea
creeks,
of
wetlands.
Mixed use.
commercial with residential.
Yes,
So
yes, we sure do.
There
we
used,
all want to live above the bakery.
And the pizza place,
Yeah.
or the coffee shop.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
You say
the
that
coffee
until you're
shop
gonna
would be
die.
great.
I know, right? Yeah.
But my
Pizza's
point
a good
is,
idea.
it's a smart way to develop, in my
Yes.
opinion. And so how are we gonna accommodate that if we don't change something?
Well, we would actually, it would accommodate itself based on what's already zoned commercial. You don't necessarily need to add more commercial just for housing. If you're gonna add more commercial, it's because we're crowded on our store spaces, and we really kind of want to see it grow this way, over here, as opposed to, you know, where some property owner might decide on their own they want to grow.
Well, what I like is that whole Nice Lucerne cutoff at Highway 20, that whole area is commercial, I thought industrial.
Yeah, I think it's service commercial as far as
Yeah.
the general plan lands designation. They don't always mirror exactly the title and the zoning.
Got it.
Yeah.
But that is a nice place to put mixed use.
Aren't they putting houses right there?
Not that I know
no,
of.
there, that's on,
I know, but I always
Right
wondered
across from
how
Century.
tiny those parcels are. I thought that was kind of weird.
They're building something.
But anyway, yeah.
Across from Century.
Like if
Yeah.
you're going to the roundabout, there's Century, and then right across the thing, they're building something right there.
Oh, yeah.
Which thing?
The thing.
The street.
Right across the highway north, like
Yeah.
here, where that
Aren't
wetland is.
No.
Oh, no, that's.
Lisa, from Century, what, north, south, east, west?
No.
North would be Plow Road,
If I'm,
Opposite.
south would be the cutoff.
Collier.
Yeah, Collier.
Colliers are way over
Yeah.
here.
Those are the apartments.
Oh, yeah, those are looking good.
maybe I'm thinking further up, there's definitely,
you are.
there's something being built if I'm leaving Century,
Yeah.
and I drive towards Upper Lake, there's not something being built on the left side that's apartments?
West.
No, no.
Where are those
On the north
apartments?
side?
One's closer to the church.
Collier.
Oh, okay.
Collier.
I'm like
Okay.
looking in my mind.
Yeah, I got that.
Well, there could
I was-
definitely be something there then.
So what you're
No,
saying, can we get, so
It's
this
apartments,
red part,
isn't it?
this
Yes.
red
Yeah.
part right here is commercial.
Yes,
And we're saying that we could add residential in here.
correct.
Because there's a whole bunch of land that's gonna be empty, and already is empty right now, that's commercial,
Yeah.
not agricultural. And there's one that had residential in it, and they were torn down right behind Nice Market.
Oh, right.
And then the bakery property that I was talking about, it's right next to a Lake Building Supply.
Yeah, right across the hardware store.
And then there's residential on top of, what's it called now?
Marina Grove.
No, but it's called Lakeside Brewery, but it was Romy's. There are three
Oh, that's already
apartments.
changed.
Oh, yeah.
There's three?
I think 2 or 3.
One.
2 up on top.
Yeah.
But there's one right next door. And then, let's see, anyway, I think it could happen if somebody bought that property and actually did something with it,
Yes.
because it's just sitting there. It has infrastructure on it. It has water hookups and everything.
There's a lot of stuff that could happen there.
Yeah.
Good.
And there's already residential on the corner of, okay, where Rado's store is. On the corner of Howard, well, it's between Crump and Howard. There's a residence right next to the old hair salon. It's now Rado's. There's a residence in there. I mean, it can happen, you know?
Are you asking for like the number of specific units? We would like to see what 50 available units in there, or you know, like.
We'd have to figure out a density.
Yeah, that's
That
what I
would,
was thinking.
yeah.
Are you looking for like, you know, a number that helps?
Not tonight.
Not tonight, okay.
Tonight I'm looking for general
Okay.
I like that
thoughts
idea.
or positions.
Me too.
I mean, it would be really great.
That
for
just gave me hope,
restaurants.
honestly.
Yeah.
It would be really great for residents who are looking for housing. it'd be great for the restaurants in town, maybe.
Writing a note so I don't forget. John's.
Build customers into the model.
Yeah, you build customers into the model, exactly.
Yeah, and there are water hookups there is a water hookup in that one spot that everything was torn down, but there's still water there, because I remember from the Nice Water Board, there was a hookup there.
Do we have a picture of, Lucerne?
Oh, nope.
I was just wondering what the
It's just
commercial.
little-
I did do it, but it was in a different batch.
I'm wondering what the
Sorry.
commercial areas in Lucerne are.
So
well,
we're not
let's look
changing
over
the
here.
Pillsbury, right?
Well, we don't include Lucerne yet.
I'm just saying.
But
If we do decide
if
to
you are
include them.
talking about Lucerne,
Yeah.
if you are talking about Lucerne, there are commercial buildings with
More
residential hooks.
Oh, yeah,
So,
well,
I mean, yeah, Lucerne
like
would be a
right
great
here.
spot for mixed use.
That is
That
13th
whole strip.
Avenue to
Oh,
the
look at all
castle,
those nice
right up there.
parks,
Uh-huh.
ideal.
It is, I think.
But yeah, there's
but there's
commercial
a
going
couple
up that
here
way.
too. Is that the Burgundy or is that, yeah, there's a couple
Yeah.
different spots.
Yeah,
Which is, that honestly makes it optimistic, because I was like, how do we do it? How do we
right. 'Cause,
maintain the small town, but
Exactly.
also increase
Well,
opportunities
you
for
can't-
people.
You can't do everything.
Correct.
No,
It's
but-
always going to be compromised.
we're
Well,
gonna
I'm
need
also
to do
thinking, how do we make
something,
sure
but we wanna
that
keep it
our folks
balanced.
don't get priced out from
Yeah.
the city folk?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, which reminds me, how do y'all feel about Airbnbs?
I hate them.
Yeah, I'm anti-Airbnb.
I am too.
I don't think single-family homes should be short-term rentals in a
Right.
place where it's already short-term housing.
Which is
Right.
definitely a trend at this point. isn't
Right.
It is, and so far the board just hasn't addressed, like created an Airbnb policy. But there are a number of different options that, like, some of them have expressed wanting to research or learn more. But for right now, what would be good is to get the feel for the community vision in the general plan, and that could include how we feel about regulating Airbnbs or short-term
No,
rentals.
Obviously, there are
So you got a rural bar, why would you need
And
Airbnb?
then maybe somebody comes on every other week.
They have their.
It's people making quick bucks.
Yeah.
Right. I think Karen has a really good point that everybody should listen to.
What was it?
These Airbnbs sit empty for, the work week for the most
Yeah.
part, and maybe every once in a while, every, 2 weeks, somebody comes in and rents it for the weekend. But a family in this community could be living right here in Upper Lake, or
Yep.
Nice. or
But aren't there some of these that, like, people live and they have an Airbnb as well?
Well, that's different. I think that would, so like at my house, there is a room that has it separated. Like, I feel like that's fine, because I live there, and it's just me renting a room
Well, the
essentially.
whole home is an Airbnb.
But a whole home
Yeah.
is just ridiculous.
All right, thanks, Tim.
So that's an anti-Airbnb consensus.
Very much.
Yeah, I picked up on that. Good. All right, let's see what else.
Open up
Did you have
that,
any other
people.
questions? Because I think I'm pretty clear on where we are as far as expansion. That just like everybody else around the lake, we want to see more housing stock, but we want it done while preserving our rural character and our small town feel.
Well,
So,
and also taking into consideration that we don't have the emergency facility and staffing to accommodate that kind of
Everything everywhere.
somewhere else. It's got to be condensed in existing locations for that purpose only, for safety.
Like the fellow from Cal Fire said a couple meetings back, like it's a lot easier to manage these kind of mixed use and higher density housing than it is, trying to cover a ton of ground. Yeah. They have better fire protection and all sorts of stuff. Better building codes, as opposed to like people putting up modulars or trailers and things like that. So
yes.
The land.
And we got a notice today that they are coming out with the new fire maps pretty soon. So I think we'll be expected to roll that out in 2025.
I would think that going forward, fire, safety, the whole thing is almost at the top of the list. Right?
Yeah, we're shifting to
Fire
now
and
like
flood.
98.8% of Lake County will be in high fire severity or very high. And so it just makes infill a much better way to continue to develop.
Anything to mitigate the fire risk is.
My fire insurance went up 50%.
That's if you can get it.
That's California.
Yeah,
That's the California
yeah.
fire company.
And that will, I'll leave up to those guys, but our thing is land use planning and planning for development and growth wisely. keeping in consideration a whole bunch of factors like the effect of climate and the wildfires and all the different things like floods, areas of flood, and recognizing, yeah, back to climate, that we're kind of entering a phase of like what I think of as whiplash weather. You know, we don't get the soft, gentle rain starting in October and then
You get the
crescendoing in
atmospheric
February.
rivers and-
We get atmospheric rivers
Yeah.
out of nowhere in the beginning, and that's very destructive.
Let's face it, we're kind of entering into the unknown.
Yeah, well, we're gonna try to make it as known as possible, but we're working on a climate vulnerability study right now that actually informs our safety element.
Good.
And that climate vulnerability analysis, as well as a countywide evacuation plan, which is also part of the safety element, those are countywide. We've included the cities in those too. So it'll be a useful tool for all of us in Lake County as we're going forward.
We're trying to restore wetlands.
We protect wetlands, yeah, and restoration and maintenance, which, you know what was really interesting in the second community survey where it was about ag diversification question, I was coming at it from allowing wineries to have distilleries and microbreweries on it because the wineries are looking to diversify, but what the community was really interested in was wilderness education.
Yes.
And that's totally like exciting because we've already got Terra doing that, we've got Clerk doing that, but Terra's been looking for spots where they can do restoration projects with the goal of educating people. It's so cool.
And they just got a
What
grant,
we-
this is public information now, but they just got a grant specifically for purchasing land to do wildlife prevention through the
Yeah.
Workforce Alliance.
Yeah, they're doing awesome stuff. I'm excited about
It's a
what we got
significant
going on.
grant.
They had
It's a
a,
couple $1 million and it's only for Lake County. So, it's a big.
they had a lake scientist symposium, it was really interesting.
Mhm. Yeah, I missed that one, but,
Yeah, but you could watch the movie
I
they
could.
did. They did a movie that covered all the people that were there.
oh, really?
Well,
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know
on
the movie,
YouTube.
But all the presentations are on YouTube.
Yes.
Speaking of
Send an
YouTube,
email her the link
Tim and Tom,
about,
they took down the presentation they had here in December 2021 of the levy situation with the feasibility study off the YouTube.
Really?
It's now invisible. I put
It's
in
on
a
Lake
public
County Tech TV.
information request act through.
Julia,
He says he has it.
It's
Through
on
me?
Lake County Peg TV, I didn't take it down.
he's the
Oh,
guy, he's the
good.
man.
How do we get it?
It's on Lake County Peg TV.
Peg
You just gotta
TV.
search the archives for it.
Lake County.
The county of Lake may have taken their
They
version down,
did.
but I didn't take our version.
We
Lake-
got Clark.
And the science symposium is also on Lake County Peg TV.
With Sacramento.
Is that just
I didn't
that
see
wrong?
any, I just saw the movie.
I don't know how
But
to
I went
do
to
that.
see
I've
it,
never
so
been on
Maurice,
Peg
it was
TV.
great.
It's just a channel on YouTube.
Every
Thank
single
you.
one in both places?
Yeah,
And
Clark.
Upper Lake
right
and
here, he was
opposite?
television.
Go Deb.
All right, so just to finish on that wilderness
Thank you. Thank
and
you.
eco-restoration, I think something that'll resonate throughout our area plan is and this is like something that gives me hope, like you were talking about mixed use, is watching how the state has progressed to really bring in our tribal knowledge and history and to take it seriously and use it to learn from. That just like gives me all goosebumps.
I would love to
because-
see, and I don't have the money to do this, but the tribes do, educational center built in this county. I've talked to AJ, and wouldn't it be great to have an educational center in this county?
It's
for
based on
children?
the
And with a
indigenous
theater and
knowledge.
guests that people can come to for the tribal education.
In our different
Great
plan,
idea.
yeah.
A lot of opportunities we
Has-
had
they
to
don't
do
all
that,
agree,
just
but-
kind of went wayside.
Really, because have you guys ever gone to the Schultz Museum in Santa Rosa?
Yeah.
If you haven't been there, it's
I
fantastic.
skated there.
But they have a museum, it's been there for years, it's a beautiful museum, it's not big, but it reminds me, I said, something like this
Right,
for the tribal history in this county would be fantastic.
you're right.
We got close to it, we actually got a grant, state grant actually, to do a museum, culture museum. We got to the point where we even got blueprints and everything.
Oh, I wish
My
they would push.
Right across from the red barn, that red barn.
Yes,
That's where it was gonna be.
Ooh.
Well, put it in the
It is
mix
hard.
again. I think
You
that's-
gotta research hard to find anything out.
And I want
Yeah.
to share with you about the tribe, so I'm on this board on behalf of the tribe.
Oh,
So
good,
I can go
thank
back
you.
and share, and, you know, what's going on, but I want to share what we're doing too. Since we got that land to trust, we want to do an actual land use plan, which a really small grant to get that going. You should hear about it probably next month or so.
How
We've got that
exciting.
To help do the land use planning and zoning. We're like actually going to start doing zoning so we can identify where we want places. So every 4 years, a new council comes in, everybody has new ideas. But if we have something in plan, keep following that plan for years.
Yeah.
You know, like we all do here.
Yeah.
And something we work toward, and we can accomplish something, you know, and so that's kind of like in the plan, hopefully soon. We did do some land use planning, but we want to take it, you know, of course, we want
Step
to do
further.
the actual plan. you know,
That's
so-
really exciting.
That's
Good
cool.
for you guys.
So
Yeah,
a lot of it's going to be housing, for commercial, and maybe some light industry, nothing,
Maybe a museum.
that too, yeah.
Where's the land at exactly that you're referring to?
It's right behind Robinson, all
Oh,
that
really?
whole hill.
The
That
It's
burned?
900
The one that was on
Yeah.
fire?
Yeah, that whole hill, and then across the street where the gas station is, you're looking at this way, looking that way, that side is
Oh,
all
yeah,
trust
yeah,
here.
yeah.
So, but that butts against the restoration
I was
project.
just gonna say about the
So
restoration
that whole
project.
restoration project's been going on since
27 years.
1996, yeah.
Yeah, is
I
there
was
gonna
in
be
the
a
beginning of
conflict
that.
for that?
Oh,
I know,
wow.
huh?
Is there gonna be a conflict for that whole project?
No, we've worked a lot of things out, you know, there's things we want in the plan, and there's things that they want, you know, so, you know, we have to compromise and,
Yeah, and the
We'll try to-
wetland
yeah.
area, because I remember when you guys put in the Pomo pumps, even the Mendocino Farm Bureau was flipping out about the wetland destruction on that, and I'm like, it's their land, they can do what they want.
we didn't disturb any of the wetlands.
Yeah, well, that's, as an environmental scientist,
Yeah.
I'll keep my mouth shut, but I'm not sure that's
Because I had
accurate.
that whole area delineated, wetlands, I did a wetlands delineation on it.
Cool.
It wasn't-
Are you a certified wetland
No, we
biologist?
have hired a certified one.
Okay.
All right, so let's not go tangential again.
Yeah.
Let's see, is there anything before
Thank you for letting
we're
me-
done? We have 5 minutes left. I think I got what I needed from you. Thank you so much.
Well, I was gonna say about the TRI's plan, that
Yeah,
I would like to get people's feedback too, for our plan.
yeah.
Because, you know, you're part of the whole.
Cool.
Isn't that
you're part of
nice?
the whole
That would be
community,
lovely.
Thank
Make
you.
sure that, you know,
We don't like it.
or how to make it better, or whatever, you know.
Well, I hope we
Right.
have community meetings for that, so public can give
We'll
comments.
always
Yeah,
get
that's
that
lovely.
grant going,
That's
yeah.
lovely.
Or
That's
come
like
to
being
the,
a
yeah,
good
or
neighbor.
come to
That's
the
good neighborly.
Municipal Advisory Council that I've invited you guys
Yeah,
before.
The other worth,
She thought,
or the worth, right?
yeah, because I've seen her, I go to the water meetings.
And then you can take it just for the town hall.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for coming tonight. This has been very helpful.
Just in case.
I will let you go now.